Ready?
Yeah. Not yet. It's almost live streaming.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we have so much Barbie stuff now. It's such a difference in our house.
It's underneath your computer.
Oh. So. But having a long time.
All right, we are officially live streaming. Let me-
Get to even look where it was.
I know it was hidden. So, Mrs. Salzer, whenever you want to unmute.
Allegiance to the flag of
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our introduction to guests, we have our admin team are all here, as well as Allison Mallow, teacher at Ridge Central.
Hi, Allison. Okay, ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, approval of the consent agenda, minutes of the December 13th meeting, open and closed, and an accounting of all the financial reports.
I'll make the motion. A second. Mrs. Petrowitz.
Aye.
Mrs. Burley. Aye. Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. LaFosse. Aye. Mrs. Sullivan.
Aye. All yours.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah, that was
So, well, usually the other would be at the end, but I did want to just welcome everyone back from winter break. Hopefully you had a great Christmas, a great New Year's. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of the district office, the amount of appreciation that I have heard towards the board for letting them have a wonderful break was immense. So I just wanted to make sure that I passed that along. We all came back refreshed and hit the ground running right away. And it's been a good start to the January week so far. So I just wanted to jump in for the PTA report. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 7th of February at 6:30 over at Finley. There will be a dine and donate at the end of this month on our SIP day on January 25th, but they were not sure exactly where they were going to go yet, but they always get the flyer out a couple days ahead of time. So that will be where I get lunch that day. Enrollment report, you'll see it still has not changed a lot but I will say in the last 2 days, we have had a lot of people transfer in. I think we had 6 at one building, like 7 at the other, and nobody seems to be leaving. So we have had quite a few come in just in the last 2 days. Vacant positions and possible staffing needs, very similar again to what last month looked like. Since this was printed, you'll see in a little bit, we also are adding a science position at the junior high, which we'll talk about later. Our next meeting, which is our study session in 2 weeks from tonight, I'm very excited for. We haven't had an actual study session in a long time where there are no votes taken, but this will be our strategic plan coming back together.
Study session is a special meeting.
It's a special meeting. Thank you. Thank you. So we still do not have a study session. We will have our special meeting, but I'm really excited. If you remember, last January is when we officially adopted the strategic plan. It was the month before that in December that we brought the community together. And it's been really interesting looking at the pictures from 13 months ago and seeing us still spaced out a lot at the tables with the masks on. And I'm excited to kind of bring this as a kind of a closer feel and be at round tables and really have that discussion of what we've accomplished in the last year and what we still need to do to work towards those goals. Right now, we have about 25 to 30 people who have confirmed that they are coming. So we're hoping that we'll get a few more, but a lot of the people who were here before are able to make it again, which makes for good continuous conversation. And it's a meeting that we want to have every single year of the 5 years of the strategic plan. Because it's important that we come together and continue to put that at the forefront, because that's what we do as administrators every day when we're looking to make decisions, is really look back to that plan. The school calendar. The school calendar for 2/18 came out really just a few days before we went on break, which is actually about 6 to 7 weeks earlier than it has the last couple of years, which I'm very happy for. I started looking at some scenarios today, which I will be presenting to the board. We'll also talk with the union about some suggestions that they have. We usually offer a option 1 and 2. And the only thing that pretty much doesn't have a lot of flexibility compared to in the past is the start date. which will need to be similar to this year's start date with the construction going on. You'll see a lot of districts go back a week before us. But that with the construction going on, that would be really hard for us to do. So we're going to have to look about that same start date. But there are some other flexible ideas in there. I did see that the high school for the first time in a while have put an Institute Day coming back in January for that first day, which gives the kids an extra day. Based on some of the parents who dropped off their kids yesterday, I don't know if they'll love that. But I do know that that would be a productive day for our staff. And just kind of looking at some different options for SIP days. And Eid next year does fall on a Wednesday, which obviously for a school calendar is not great. But at the same time, when you look at our student attendance, it goes down dramatically, as well as our staff attendance. So that's another recommendation that I'll be making. But I should have a lot more information for you at the February meeting for our school calendar. Okay. And then 3.6, which is actually my last official item here, summer school. We are already starting to plan for summer school. And we were very happy with how last year's went. It ran Monday through Thursday, 9 to 12 for students. Teachers had more of an 8:30 to 12:30 time. What I was happy with is we actually had focus for our staff. They were provided with the resources that this is what you're supposed to be teaching. We have not always been able to do that in the past, and especially those who will be teaching again will be familiar with the resources already. So I expect it to go even smoother for them. We will start looking for teachers who are interested in a couple weeks. And then once we have an idea of how many are committed to teaching, that's when we'll know how many students that we can have. And we'll start taking recommendations for summer school at that time. So yes, so it would be like 1st through 8th, because it's like, yes, correct. And again, assuming we have enough teachers, we had plenty in terms of making sure we had for each grade band before, but we do have to make sure before we can commit completely. So any questions on summer school? It seems really early to start talking about that. We are still looking to see exactly the best spot. But even with the construction here at Findlay, we think this year would probably be good here. But it is something that I want to rotate buildings once the construction is done. It makes sense, and it gives kids who, let's say, live over at Ridge Lawn a chance to also go to their home school one summer. So that's something we want to do. So. All right, I already shared my other, so I am actually already going to pass it over to our curriculum director.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. So 4.1 is the NWBA winter map scores. I know it's hard to believe we just spoke about these fall map scores at the last meeting, but that was due to us and needing to data kind of get those connected with the historical data. So in your board packet, you'll see the winter growth for both reading and math for kindergarten through 8th grade students. And I did kind of list in the packet that you had information that you had gotten last week, that the data and a little bit about the growth and the achievement. But just want to highlight that this is the first year that we did test before winter break. So we are seeing some of that possible impact and change in looking at that data. And then the instructional time that we got from the beginning of the year to when we tested. And that's something that we're really reflecting on. And then the admin team will be working directly with the teams of teachers at the upcoming early dismissal day on the data and analyzing that data and reflecting on that data and looking at the growth and looking at the achievement and looking at what we can do in those areas to improve student learning in success moving forward. 4.2, the portrait of a learner. Dr. Thorns had mentioned we've got 25 to 30 staff and community members coming for the strategic plan. Happy to announce we have 30 also community stakeholders coming for the portrait of a learner, which is a huge commitment, several meetings over the next several months. And so we have 30 members that include our fire department, our police department, our park district, staff members from all 3 buildings, including the administrators. So just so excited to see the involvement and the willingness for everyone to be a part of it. You know, and what the excitement kind of revolves around what this can be for our district. So really excited about that. I did send an email out to all of those members that have signed up for it, letting them know of all the dates. And then I'll send another email shortly about some of the work for that first meeting that we'll meet in February so that they're prepared for that as well. 4.3 is the One District, One Book. This is an event that we've done now 3 years. This is our 3rd year. We call it One District, One Book, but we are one district theme. not one book. And we really had taken that from the first year and getting feedback that we really need to listen to the junior high students and staff and get them a book that really is drawn to, you know, that they're drawn to, that they're interested in. So we are going to separate and have a book for the elementary and a book for the junior high. But the theme will be the same, and we are excited about the theme, but it is still a secret. So don't share it. And we do have the books for the board to take home today, and I'll give those to you so that you can read them, but please hide them. Don't let if you have a child in the district, don't share that with them yet. That information will start going out to parents at the end of January 30th that week. We'll do daily activities leading up to the books that will go home on February 3rd. And so we've got a great committee that's meeting actually tomorrow after school to plan all these events and the trivia and the games and the excitement that goes on with it. But do want to remind everyone that the main purpose of this event is that it really is supposed to be supported and build the bridge with home and school. So we really want to be encouraging this at home as well, and the reading at home, even if it's an older sibling. And we will be reaching out to the board to see if anybody is willing to read a chapter of one or both of the books, because we found great success with that last year. For those of you who participated, we appreciate it. And I know it's something that even a lot of our students had said, oh, there's, Mr. Youngberg, and, in the students that we're hearing from other principals from other schools, and the board included in that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
So thinking about this, I have 4 children, 3 of whom were in the district, and we got a plethora of books every year, like the Lemon Moore book. I feel like I see them all over my house. And so I'm just curious. I mean, if every kid wants their book, I get that. But is there a way that, if these books are just getting chucked by parents or done to the library, like they can come back to the school and maybe we could donate them to another school that might want to do this, as opposed to just like, I don't want to say waste, but I mean, when I have had 3 kids reading the same book and then I've got them laying around the house, like we donate books all the time, but I feel like to get a vast number of a class set or whatever, even if the school takes them back and several years later they read Lemonade Wars again as a class and they have a classroom set, I feel like we could be doing more. And even if it is donating it to another district or having a swap, like, hey, you guys did this book, we did this, let's flip.
Yeah. And so if I can share a story just really briefly, this school district that I had come from, they did one district, one book for years. And when it came, they had that same feedback after several years. And so I actually reached out to them and got a bin for all of our 5th grade students to read at Ridge Central. And they did kind of a unit study with that book. So it's very possible. It's been done. It's something that we can definitely talk about on how we would collect those books when we were done reading it.
I just feel like it'd be a great opportunity, even if it was the, lower grade levels and higher grade levels, if they did the same book in rotation, and like the junior high kids reading chapters to the grammar school kids, and, just other kind of options that would be available just to make more use of it, to make it, the books more useful in other areas or even with siblings or whatever. So
Right. Yeah, no, I like that.
just some thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. And 4.4, I do have 2 others. I just wanted to make sure that the board knew and was aware that at the February meeting, the Social Studies Textbook Committee will be presenting the recommendation for the adoption of a social studies textbook curriculum resource. So that's going to be coming up. The textbook committee, the Social Studies Textbook Committee does meet this week, Thursday, to finalize their plans and have a presentation available for you at that meeting. And then I do want to just make sure the board's aware, if you remember when we met in December, we had the math family night taking place at Ridge Central. That Thursday, they had one at Ridge Lawn, and it was huge success. Parents were invited with the children to play the games that they're using in the classrooms with our new recent illustrative math adopted resource. And the math coaches planned everything, and they got all of the materials, and they planned each of the stations. They got the staff participation, and it was so successful. There was such a vibe from those math coaches that came afterwards from what they were feeling in that event. So just wanted to kind of recognize them, that event, and then also make sure that you're aware that this is something that they want to continue. They want to do a spring one, they want to do an end of the year one, and it's something that we see being really successful moving forward as these math family nights. So I want to make sure that everybody's aware.
That's all I have.
Kathy?
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to give you a brief capital projects update over winter break. A lot going on in the district. The vendor put the new rooftop units over Ridge Central and Finley. If you remember, those were scheduled probably about a year ago, and because of supply chain issues, those are finally installed. They will continue through the week to do some programming and testing, and those are fully functional right now. And then over at Ridge Lawn for the building and renovations project, they prepared the east entrance, which is the contractor access to the courtyard. And then this year, or today rather, they dropped off some heavy machinery, and they should begin excavating that land tomorrow. And then also what they did over at right here out in Finley and at Ridgelawn is they put some thermal blankets down to prevent the ground from freezing so they could get a head start on this. No work over at Central yet because that's all interior work. And then also I wanted to share with you, there will be an action item later in the meeting to approve the architect fees that go along with this project. 2 months ago, we approved the whole contract in the amount of $8 million. And I just wanted to formally approve the architect fees that go along with that. And that's a rate of 7.5%. So those projects are coming along nicely. And then 5.2 is our IMRF rate. And that is our Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. That is our pension cost for our non-certified staff. And very happy to report is still going down. Last year, and it's a calendar year, not a fiscal year, it was 6.25 that the district contributes on each employee's behalf. And this year it will be 4.77%. So overall, that is an approximate cost savings of $30,000, which it was last year as well. So that's great news. And then finally, 5.3, we did get information from our second quarter interest in township costs. The interest earned on our fund balances on the money that township invests on our behalf was $44,086, and the costs associated to run township that are allocated to us was $18,930. So overall, a very successful quarter.
I have a question. When they lower their percentage for IMRF, that means less going into the fund.
Yes, less is going into the fund by the employer. The 4.5% that each employee contributes has been static for, I'm going to say, a decade.
Okay.
When I spoke with the IMRF gentleman, this goes back years. It's a couple of things. IMRF is one of the fully funded pensions in Illinois, and it's run very successfully. And so they have significant fund balances, and they're earning a lot of money on those investments. But also the tier 2 people, they're unfortunate, just like tier 2 TRS, they have less benefits. They have to work longer. And so he really shared with me that eventually the tier 2 folks would be kind of supporting the tier 1. And again, years ago, he actually predicted that IMRF from an employer standpoint might be nothing at one time because it would just fund itself. Not there yet, but this is a fantastic rate. Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Good question. Anything else?
Any others, Kevin?
No, nothing. Thank you.
Old business.
Okay, so we don't have any old business. Do we? Policy.
Yeah, so we are looking to adopt our policies that we looked at last time. And there was only one question on that. And remember, that was, does the board require fully vaccinated employees to participate in a district-wide COVID-19 testing program? And the answer to that is no. Everything else was really straightforward. So I would recommend that we adopt them.
Okay, motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mrs. Lamb.
Aye.
Mrs. Abuzzer. Aye. Mrs. Petracca.
Aye.
Mrs. Earl. Aye. And Mrs. Salter.
Aye. Okay, other and then new business. Okay. That's it, right?
Yeah, just looking at
And
that.
then potential board action to approve total board member expenses for the tri-state conference.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Is it Mrs. Lamb on the second?
Yes, that's me.
Mrs. Grove, aye. Mrs. Lamb.
I,
Mrs. Levanza. Aye. Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter.
Aye.
And then for 7.2, we have a potential board action to post for a first reading, the following board policies. And really what this is, this looked at once our contract was signed with Korea. It just kind of puts an asterisk there that if there's anything in the contract that could be different than what was in the policy, it just says, please refer to that contract. So you'll see that it's highlighted on all those. So this is just potential board action to post that first reading.
I'll make the motion. I'll second. Mrs. Levanza. Aye. Mrs. Lamb.
I,
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
And Mrs. Salter.
Aye. Potential board action to approve architect fees for the building renovations project for Studio G of $615,127.50.
Make the motion. I'll second. Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Lamb.
I,
Mrs. Levanza. Aye. Mrs. Salter.
Aye. Other meeting reports, informational, opportunity for visitors to speak. Anybody? No? Megan's making a face, I don't know why. Something. Okay, president's prerogative, welcome back. That's all I'm glad you guys had a good break. I hope you can enjoy the rest of the school year. Cause now we're headed like towards the end of the school year now, so.
Count down the spring breaks and count
Yeah.
down to the end.
Yeah, that's kind of how what happens, it just speeds by really fast after that. So good luck on the rest of the semester. Or the rest of the year, we don't. do two
Rest of the year.
semesters. Yes, okay, the trimester.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my favorite part, we are going to adjourn to the closed session for
That's
the
not even
purpose of a discussion of employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation with specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act is defined in the Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1. The discussion of collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees as described in Section 2C2. And the discussion of minutes of prior meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act as defined in Section 2C21 for the purpose of review, approval, or release of such minutes. We will not be discussing any security measures, student discipline cases, or litigation during this closed session. So we just need a motion.
Okay,
I'll second. Or is it Mrs. Grove on the motion? Wow, Mrs. Lamb.
I.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove. Aye. Mrs. Levanza. Aye. Mrs. Salter.
aye, 6:54.
Thank you.